Index report that came in yesterday, that is the World Economic Forum Global Gender Gap Index. That concerns a lot of women, and I hope you listen to this. The World Economic Forum, best known for its annual gathering in the Swiss resort of Davos, said it would take, listen to this, 217 years for disparities in the pay and employment opportunities of men and women to end. The World Economic Forum says in a new report that equality is in retreat. For the first time since the group started tracking the issue in 2006, the data makes for depressing reading. When I was reading it, so depressing. Each year, the World Economic Forum ranks 144 countries in its Global Gender Gap Index. The research focuses on the gap between men and women based on 4 key areas: economic, health, education, and political indicators, as well as of years of global gains made by women are beginning to erode. To arrive at their conclusions, researchers examined specific metrics such as global labor force participation, life expectancy, and the share of women in elected office. The data make for depressing reading, just like I said earlier on. Each year, the World Economic Forum ranks 144 countries in its Global Gender Gap Index. The organization described 2017 as a bad year in a good decade, noting that the global gender gap will take exactly 100 years to close at the current rate of progress. Last year, the forecast was for 83 years. Overall, the 2017 index showed a decrease in parity over the previous year for the first time. And the economic pillar, which looks at salaries, workforce participation, and leadership, has one of the fastest growing gaps. Women across the world are still, on average, earning less than men by a large amount. So much so, the World Economic Forum says that the economic gender gap will now not be closed for 217 years. Iceland is on the top of the index after closing 88% of its gap and has been the world's most gender-equal country for 9 years. It has pulled away from the competition as Norway and Finland, in second and third positions, experience a widening in their equality ratings. Both Rwanda, that's in Africa, and Nicaragua are found in the top 10. For example, how these countries distribute their resources and opportunities relatively well. There is a notable absence of any world's leading industrialized nations, the so-called G20, within the top 10, showing that economic power is not necessarily a recipe for better equality between the sexes. Now take a listen. Our beloved country, Nigeria, moved further down from the 118th position in 2016 to 122nd position in 2017. This is a gap that should not be ignored. What does that mean? It is getting harder and harder every day to be a woman in Nigeria.